Hey, welcome to this video. My name is Antonio Easter, and in this video, I'm going to talk about the Conor and Mayweather fight. I know it's fight night, and the fight's due to take place in approximately 4 hours Pacific Standard Time. And I've been debating about coming in, giving my opinion about the whole fight or not doing it, and I decided to do it at the last minute. I've been following the fight since pretty much since the conception before at the time when Mayweather, I mean, he slightly knew who Conor was, really didn't know who he was, and then people began to approach him on the street about this Conor and Conor wanting to fight him, and during the time when Dana White didn't even think it would happen. Dana White came through several times on media during a media interviews, and said that the fight would never happen. So now here we are. The fight is actually taking place. It just goes to show that anything's possible. Now, my opinion about the fight, and I'll tell you who I hope wins, and I'll tell you what I think about who's going to actually come out and walk away the victor. Number one, I hope Mayweather wins. And the reason why I hope Mayweather wins is because I think that he is the better fighter of the two. He's definitely the better strategist. I think he has Conor McGregor is stepping out of his domain into Mayweather's domain, a domain that right now Mayweather rules, right? And I think Conor McGregor is just needs to be put in his place. I admire his story. I admire his. I like him as a person from what I have seen from Conor in the media. But again, I think Conor is kind of self-deceived to a place where he needs a reality check. And I understand, confidence in oneself. That's something that every champion has in common. Every champion, every entrepreneur, every successful businessman, every successful businesswoman, they have a huge amount of self-confidence, and that's necessary in order to be a champion. The problem with Conor, I think he has almost like a psychotic self-confidence to a place to where it's delusional. There is a fitness guy. I can't even think of the guy's name right now. But he kind of became that way. He developed such a high level of self-confidence that he thought that he was invincible and tried to outrun a train and ended up getting hit by the train and dying. And of course, he found out he couldn't outrun a train. We're all human. And I think Conor is borderlining that. And I think Conor, it could be his age, it could be the way he was brought up, how he was raised. I don't know. I think his parents seem to be very outstanding. They seem to be good parents, and it doesn't seem like he was raised in a way where he was taught not to respect certain things, certain elements of life. I think that's something that he just mutated into as he began to climb the ladder of success and different things like that. So I want Mayweather to knock Conor out. Okay. Do I think he will do it? I think he is possible. I think it's very possible that Mayweather would knock Conor out. I think a lot of people are underestimating Mayweather's punching power. One thing that you got to keep in mind is that styles make fights. Styles make fights, and I'll say styles make fights, strategies win fights. Going back to Conor McGregor, if you notice in the second fight with Diaz, he knocked Diaz down. Of course, I believe it was with the left. And Diaz went down, and Conor went to jump on Diaz. And you could hear his corner screaming, "No, Conor, don't. No, Conor, don't. Stay up. Wait till he gets up." And Diaz is literally baiting him to come down. So that was not a part of Conor's strategy. And we all know what happened last time. If Conor jumped on Diaz and went to the ground with him, 9 times out of 10, he would have got choked out. So, like I said, styles make fights, strategies win fights. And Mayweather has fought some fighters that Conor wouldn't make it out of the first round with. And I'll name a few. Number one, Pacquiao would knock Conor out in round one. Medina, I think his name was. That guy is insanely aggressive. He would knock Conor. I think he'll hurt Conor, like really, really hurt Conor really bad. To a point where Conor may not even be able to fight again. Mayweather beat him. There was another guy. I can't even. The guy's name slipping my mind. Cotto, of course. Mayweather fought some good guys that would absolutely ravish Conor. Now the funny thing is Mosley. I think his name is Mosley. I can't remember the guy's name, but the guy that he fought another heavy hitter. And all these guys hit. I would assume hit harder than Conor. They know the boxing game. One thing people don't understand about boxing is I have a cousin. Let me just tell you a quick story. I have a cousin goes to university who he was you know, he did boxing amateur, and there was this MMA guy. My cousin was hitting the bag in his university, and this MMA guy who'd been in MMA for years came up to him, and of course, you know, the guy came in with that MMA mentality and wanted to spar him. And my cousin said the guy hit him maybe once or twice, but the guy quit. And people don't understand that boxing is such a high level skilled art that you just can't cross over from MMA into boxing, especially fighting a guy at Floyd Mayweather's level and expect to actually win. Now, anything can happen in a fight. Conor can get lucky and knock Floyd Mayweather out. Like I said, anything can happen in a fight. One thing I do respect about Conor, I'm borderline admiring this about the guy, is that he is the underdog, okay, by a long shot. Nevertheless, he believes in the impossible, and being an entrepreneur myself, I believe in the impossible. There's a certain profile makeup that an entrepreneur has, a champion has. Somebody like Conor, coming from where he came from up to now, he has had a insanely incredibly successful career. It was not all due to his fighting ability. We all know that he's not the best in MMA. He's not the best stand-up guy in MMA. There are some guys that he beat that would beat Conor now. I believe the guy that just beat Jose Aldo would whoop Conor. I believe right now. I forget his name, but the guy from Hawaii. But Chad Mendes. Okay, if Chad Mendes and Conor had a trilogy, three fights, right? I'm getting tongue tied. If they had three fights, I believe Chad Mendes had a huge possibility of winning, if not two of those fights, at least one. Okay, Conor had a very hard time with Chad Mendes, although at the end he ended up knocking him out. He's not the best in MMA, even stand up. What got Conor to where he's at, I believe, is his belief system and he showboats. He's a character. So he's just the right fitting guy for MMA, Dana White, the UFC, I'm sorry, to push forward and to promote. Because at the end of the day, it's all about business. It's all about the money. It's not about anything else. It's about the money. Dana White is a businessman, and it's about the money. And I understand from Dana White's point of view, I respect Dana White as a businessman, period. He's very cut and dry. He's very black and white. He's a shark, in the midst of sharks. He's a shark, and he's all about business. So I think personally, this is what I think about Conor, is that I think Conor's doing it for the money. I think Conor's doing it for the money. I think and there's nothing wrong with that. A lot of people say, well, he's doing it because he's passionate for fighting. Forget fighting. I'll step in the ring and dance around with Mayweather for $100 million. Forget fighting. I have no passion for fighting. I mean, every man I think likes fighting, but I like fighting. But I have no passion for it to pursue it like in UFC or boxing. That was not my passion. I'm into martial arts, but that's not my passion. But nevertheless, Conor, I think he has his eyes on bigger things. Conor is a fighter by nature, but he's also looking to change his. He's looking to produce generational wealth. And I think that he's taking a fight for that. So I don't know if Conor really cares if he wins or loses. He has losses on his record already. I do admire that. I admire the fact that he's looking beyond fighting. There's a few fighters in the UFC that actually are looking beyond fighting. Uriah Faber did it to an extent to where he actually created a business and began to train and fighters and stuff like that. But Conor's looking at it from a far different level. Conor's looking to take that money, reinvest it, and get a return on his investment. So I admire Conor for that. I like Conor. Like I said, I like him. I just don't think that he deserves to be in a square circle with Floyd Mayweather. And I think a lot of people feel that way. But nevertheless, the fight is happening. I think one of the things that does worry me about the fight is that two things. I'm just be very frank with you guys. One thing that worried me about what Floyd Mayweather said, he said the only thing God made perfect was his record. Okay. And when he said that, I cringed. The reason why I cringe is because the last person that said something like that, their empire was split up. And yes, I am talking about him making such a statement about God. So if you don't believe in God, you can turn this video off. I do. What happened is Bill Gates. He said, I'm so rich, I have more money than God. Shortly after that, the government stepped in and separated his ass. I mean, just completely stopped his monopoly. Bill Gates later on came back in public and apologized about the statement. Mayweather made that statement, and I cringe. But beyond that, you take it to Conor's standpoint. Conor has he really believes that he can beat Mayweather. And one of the things that a lot of people don't understand is that the Olympians, let's take the Olympians for a reason. I mean, for an example, Olympian athletes are the best in the world, right? As far as what we know, they're the best. And every so often they gather, and the world gathers around to see them compete. But what a lot of people don't realize is Olympians have what they call affirmation coaches, and not only that, they do something that a lot of people don't utilize in when it comes to anything, whether it's business, whether you're going out, if you're going out to close a multi-million-dollar deal, a consulting deal, no matter what it is, a lot of people don't use this to actually win in the game of business, in the game of relationships, in the game of whether it's a relationship with your wife, your husband, your kids, whatever it is. And they don't use this when it comes to fighting, but the imagination. A lot of Olympians actually will lay down and get quiet for about 30 minutes to an hour, and they imagine themselves winning that particular race, swimming, whatever it is, whatever they're competing at. They role play themselves winning over and over and over and over and over and over again in their mind. If you go back to UFC, you go back to Cody Garbrandt. That's one of the things that he said. He said, I beat him already over 1,000 times. When he was talking about Dominic Cruz, he imagined himself whooping Dominic Cruz over and over and over again. And where everybody in his camp called him a ghost, Cody said that he was waiting for the ghost to show up. The ghost never showed up. But one thing you got to understand, Cody was a boxer. He has a boxing background, right? He has a boxing is his main art. And he's a precise striker, precision striking. That's what boxing is. Different from MMA. When a person learns boxing from a boxing coach, pure boxing coach, versus learning boxing from an MMA boxing coach, there's a massive difference. I have a lot of family on my father's side who are into boxing, and it's a different game. It's a different game. So, but anyway, Cody Garbrandt, he imagined himself whooping him over and over again. And I believe Conor, I wouldn't doubt, because Conor has some very unorthodox training. He does some weird stuff, right? It's really not weird. I have a rule. I work out, and I have a rule. Anytime I see a person in the gym doing something that's weird, I assume they know what they're doing. Okay. But Conor does a lot of weird stuff. So I'm pretty sure Conor has role played himself whooping Mayweather. So again, let me get back to the point. I want Mayweather to win. I want Mayweather to knock Conor out. However, there is a big chance, and it's not a lucky punch shot, that Conor can knock Mayweather out. Paulie, and I know a lot of people would discredit Paulie. Paulie said that Zab Judah, who was a southpaw and a southpaw boxer, and Zab Judah could fight. I know he got knocked out. He started doing a chicken dance, which is really funny. But Zab Judah, Paulie said, hits harder than Conor. And he had gotten some, I just seen highlights of the fight, and he's gotten some solid hits in with Mayweather and couldn't knock him out. Now he did stun him like several times, but he didn't knock him out. I don't know how Conor thinks he's going to go in and knock him out with the Taekwondo dancing back and forth, that stuff and all that. There's nothing like boxing footwork. There was a guy who was a several degree black belt in Wing Chun, and I know a lot of people would dump on Wing Chun, but he wasn't one of those Wing Chun guys that just advanced forward. He involved his game to where it was more modern, modern form of Wing Chun that is actually adaptable to current fighting streets and MMA guys. And he was sparring with this boxing guy, and the boxing guy was all over him. And he said this. He said about this point I would have turned around and ran. And what gave the boxing guy the advantage was his footwork. And you cannot get, there's no way in the world an MMA fighter is going to develop that kind of footwork to deal with a boxer, even an amateur boxer who knows what he's doing, who knows how to fight, and can bring the heat to him, let alone get in the ring with Floyd Mayweather. Do I think Floyd Mayweather is the best in the world or the best at his weight division that ever lived? No. I think Sugar Ray Leonard was better than him. I think Sugar Ray Leonard would have whooped him. Hagler, I think, would have whooped him. I think Hagler would have whooped him. Hitman Hearns, definitely. So I think I like Floyd. I like Conor. I admire both of them. Borderline admire both of them for certain things. I'm not one of those guys that, don't get me wrong. I like money, but I'm not one of those guys I'm not one of those flamboyant type of personalities. I don't. That's their gig. I'm not knocking them for that. But again, I hope Mayweather goes in there and absolutely, utterly destroys Conor, because his psychotic arrogance. It's not necessarily confidence; it's his arrogance that gets me. And so we'll see what happens tonight. We'll see what happens. Mayweather versus Conor McGregor, and I think that Conor, if like everybody's saying, he's gonna have to fight dirty. He's gonna have to throw some dirty shots, maybe risk a point or two. If he's going for the knockout, he might as well get as dirty as possible, because he's not going to win by a point decision. So I don't know what's going to happen. I never seen Floyd Mayweather fight a very aggressively. I never seen Floyd Mayweather fight a very aggressive fight that impressed me. So I don't know what he's going to do. He says he's going to walk Conor down, go after Conor. I don't think that's the best strategy, because again, anything can happen. So I'm leaning in the side of Mayweather. I hope Mayweather wins, but no telling what can happen. Like I said, I don't have anything against neither of the guys. I think that Conor he just needs a check. He needs a wake up call, and I think he's a little overly arrogant. That's what I think. And but nevertheless, it doesn't matter, because none of these guys know who you are. None of these guys know who I am, right? And one's fighting for $350 million in a consulting business over 5-10 years. You may do something like that. You create an app. It's a big hit. You could do $1 billion. With Conor McGregor, he's walking away with $100 million. So these fighters are in it for the money. Both of them are, and I wouldn't doubt if the thing is staged, right? Let's say it's staged. Conor goes in there and knocks Mayweather out, shocks the world, and they have to have a rematch. What's going to happen? More money. If Mayweather goes in there a second time, knock Conor out, and they have a rematch in boxing, what's going to happen? More money. So maybe Mayweather's wanting to retire a billionaire. Maybe Conor's wanting to retire, increase his net worth to $500 million, maybe $1 billion. We never know. We'll see. So this is Antonio Easter. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't. I'll be coming out with a new brand, and also producing some videos periodically in the fight space. So smash the like button, leave your comments. If you disagree with what I said, leave your comments. Just express yourself at the bottom. See Antonio Easter out.